So, what do you think as a standing point for female longevity? What like we should pay attention to? Because right now, in this longevity world, recently it became like the world of longevity very very sexy, and lots of influencers, lots of people like they just promoting lots of things. So, what do you think for us for women like we should pay attention to?
All right. Again, I'm not going to say just for women, it's for everybody. There was a study when they checked people who lived over 100, and they questioned them, they asked them what they eat and how they lived, what kind of lifestyle they had. Uh, and of course, we have all these blue zones that we talk on the planet, right? But one thing they had in common, everybody has all sorts of different methods or no methods at all. Some people were very diligent. Some people were vegan. Some people ate meat. Some people drank soda. Some people smoked. Some people didn't smoke. Some people took vitamins. Some people didn't. Some did massages every day, everything. So they couldn't find one good reason why these people lived that. And of course, you always blame genetics. But one thing these people had in common, one thing, optimism. This is all comes to the same thing. Healthy mindset. That's number one. That's number one. You have to start with that first. Healthy mindset and optimism.
Optimism, yeah.
Optimism is one thing that they all said, and they all had that.
I agree.
You
I
know,
agree.
if some people didn't even believe in God, you don't have to be spiritual to live that long. It's optimism. It's what is happening in this machine that keeps
Yes.
you going.
Interesting.
Um, and then, of course, longevity. When people talk about longevity, it's funny how you said influencers. Like, look at the general like population, the majority of numbers. That is usually people between 30 and 40 when they talk about longevity, right? And that is actually a very, very good thing because this awareness about, oh, I want to live longer and stay healthy, it's really good. And this is when you do it. When you're 20, you don't think about it. Life is good. 30, a lot of times you could be healthy, you're not thinking about it. But then once you start approaching 40, this is when our body starts to change. And this is when I'm going to talk about women. This is where women and men are different. So your perimenopause actually starts in your 30s, you see? And it depends on your lifestyle. It can start earlier. And menopause itself can come early because of that. You see?
Interesting.
So when you in your 30s, you have to start taking care of your body more. You'll start noticing that the pimple that used to, heal within a day or two, now it takes weeks sometimes because the body is not the same. Recovering is not the same. And as older you get, the more you feel, the longer time it takes. Does it mean that you're done? No, absolutely not. This is physiological moment where your body is start going through inflammaging, the chronic inflammation. You see? So then the goal is to reverse inflammation.
And how?
And
What would you recommend to how to reverse inflammation of the body?
I'm going to say it again. The first number one inflammatory thing in our society is override of sympathetic nervous system, cortisol hormone.
Cortisol. Cortisol and
We call
sugar, probably.
sugar, yes, but here's the thing. You could be sugar free. And here, I wear my sugar, my glucose monitoring all the time. And believe me, I really watch my sugar. I'm making sure that there's no spikes, but I still see that there is some dips and spikes happen here and there, even if I eat very super healthy. And that is, I know that I didn't sleep enough, maybe. I maybe slacked a little bit on my exercise, maybe on my breath work, not so much exercise, but breath work, my yoga, my cold showers, jumping in the sauna, all these things that bring your cortisol down. This is when I know and I start going back. So believe it or not, cortisol. Cortisol is the one that increases your insulin. And because your insulin increases, this is when the body starts producing your own natural sugar and increase your sugar spikes. So
Interesting.
again, number one, mindset.
Mindset,
Mindset
yeah.
and cortisol. Just tattoo it somewhere in your body. Just remember, this
Yeah,
is number one. If you want to live longer and keep healthy body, take care of your mindset, take care of your cortisol, take care of your inflammation in your body. Okay.
information.
And then, of course, eating healthy, avoiding toxins in the body. We have so many toxins. And especially now after COVID, this is what we're finding with the spike protein. It sparked something in the bodies that we are finding very weird things in medicine today. Things like Epstein-Barr viruses and other viruses, they became chronic. They become longer, and I'm watching them. Weird cancers. Like there's so much going on. So the idea not only to live long, the idea is to live
Yeah,
healthy,
to live healthy.
productive. Yes, yes.
Talking about all of those glycemic monitors, I just actually had mine and I removed it like a couple of weeks ago. So what would you recommend in terms of like the guidance for people to understand how it works? Because, for example, like I have like my green zone, which means, like it's a still good zone for insulin. And it never goes to orange, like never goes like above the limit. It's still kind of like within these green parameters, but it still goes, like up and down a little bit, up and down. So is it considered to be like healthy, or still like we need to kind of watch our kind of to be like more smooth?
Okay. So 150 is considered okay. Like if automatically when you put the app, that's what they have. But I put it down mine to lower for the same reason, to make sure that I don't have very high spikes. I allow my body to spike 126, maximum 130.
130.
That's max. But it's very rare. I try to keep it as steady as possible.
So
That's why,
steady is like 195.
well, it depends. Like for example, 100 is okay, but if it's constantly 100 and you wake in with 100, it's too high. So my sugar, I keep my sugar when I wake up fasting around 70 to 80. This is when I feel comfortable. For some people, it might be uncomfortable. So 80, 90, that's fasting. And then during the day, between 90 and 100 is considered normal. Okay. But then if you want to trick your body, there's a thing called fasting, right? And during fasting, we have autophagy. We remove all these senescent cells from the body, which is removal all these possible, potential cancer cells, all these people, all these cells that turn into old cells and aging. So that's why fasting is so good, right? But you actually can trick your body into fasting by keeping your sugar between 80, 75, 80 constantly. Okay. And that is keto diet mostly. Carnivore
Interesting.
diet for sure. Carnivore diet for sure. When I'm on carnivore, I'm a straight line,
Wow.
straight line. And that is indicator that your body is in the fasting mode. And of course, we're talking your body starts getting into fasting mode not immediately. You have to stay at least 36, 48 hours in the steady levels. This is when you know your ketones are kicking in. Okay. And this is, you're still eating, but your body thinks that you're fasting.
So it's like basically only protein, like with no sweet
Fats.
vegetables and.
Absolutely. No, 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 no. Yes, yes. So I'm not saying that you always have to be that way, but it's good to have like a little reset for yourself if you want to do that. For those who have elevated hemoglobin A1C, not elevated, but would like to have your hemoglobin A1C less than 5 if you are, wants to stay healthy. So if it's like, if my hemoglobin A1C goes to 5.3, then I do that for a month or so, and I bring it down to 4.8 to 5, and I'm good.
So
You
for a
see, and
month,
then
like you follow like
uh
a carnivore diet,
carnivore-like diet. Yep, yep,
just like
yeah,
avoiding high glycemic vegetables in your food and just like mostly protein.
exactly, exactly.
Oh,
And you, when you're on carnivore, there's no high glycemic. There's nothing. There's nothing high glycemic in carnivore. It's
Mm-hmm.
impossible. That's why it's straight line.
Yeah.
Then you go into keto carnivore. This is when you start adding vegetables, starting adding certain fruits. I don't, but if I put any fruits, berries to me. I
Mm-hmm.
always think of, if you think of carnivore, think of wolf, think of bears. What do
Yeah.
they eat? Wolf, they eat meat, and then once in a while they eat berries,
Mm-hmm.
correct? And that's why wolves can survive any winters, right? They can run thousands of kilometers without, well, hundreds of kilometers without, feeling tired.
Mm-hmm.
They have a very strong bodies and
I've
survival.
yeah, I've heard that it's important to eat protein with some sort of like green leaves, which kind of helps it to digest it and move it through the gut. Is it true? Like, is it something that when people decided to do it?
So when I say green leaves to my patients, they go home and they get spinach and start eating this much of spinach. There is some green vegetables when you do carnivore, like when you do just protein, when you eat protein, you can, but you try to avoid certain oxalate forming greens. Spinach is one of them. Oxalate
Mm-hmm.
forming greens. You can always look it up, whatever you're eating. And in that case, you have to be careful to combine that with protein
Mm-hmm.
because then you're going to form oxalates. You see, there is no perfect formula.
Yes.
Greens are good? Yes, they're good. But are they good with protein? It depends.
So
All
I
comes
mean,
to one thing, balance.
yeah, arugula is good. Maybe like some other, but no spinach.
Well, again, you see, don't do that because spinach, arugula also could be oxalate forming too.
Uh,
So you have to be careful. But what good about arugula is actually it stimulates your own production of testosterone. Arugula does. Yes.
Interesting.
So that's
Interesting.
why and it's a bitter herb. So when people eat that, it has a very good cleansing effect on your liver and stimulates your own testosterone. And people feel really good when they eat arugula.